Hello, my lovely audience. Welcome to Time with your beloved midwife, Kenneth. Hi, I am ecstatic that we've met again to continue our discussion into our health. Today, we will be drawing the curtains on the female reproductive system, to be precise, the organs, because we are left with only one internal organ. And so to be part of this beautiful family where we learn together, have fun, vibe, and promote our health, you already know what to do. That is the ritual. Kindly subscribe to the channel, like and share the videos, leave your comments, tap on the notification bell, and click on the video cards as well. If you are a newcomer, you are welcome. I love you all so much. Mwah. To the topic for discussion, apparently, which is our last female reproductive system organ, and that is the ovaries. The ovaries. Let's start off with the development of the ovaries. Now, the ovaries originate from the same embryonic structure as the suprarenal glands and the male testes. The male testes is known. What about suprarenal glands? One will ask, right? So let me break it down for you. So supra means above, renal means the kidney. So above the kidney's glands. Very direct. They are also called adrenal glands, and what they do is that they produce steroid hormones, adrenaline and noradrenaline. There is very little development of the infantile ovary until the onset of menarche, and its appearance and structure then differ according to a woman's age and the phase of her menstrual cycle. This is one special thing about the ovaries. What I have now is different from what I had when I was a child, or that of my little sisters, of course. And so the ovaries makes changes according to a woman's age and that of her phase of her menstrual cycle. Let's move into the situation of the ovaries. Where will we find the ovaries? They are situated at the fimbriated end of the fallopian tube at about the level of the pelvic brim, and the two ovaries lie within the peritoneal cavity, as we discussed earlier when we were discussing the fallopian tubes, in a small depression at the posterior end or the wall of the broad ligament. This goes to prove that if the fibra is weak or not strong or healthy, it has a higher chance of affecting our ovaries. Good health, I say, is everything. Prior to the discussion, I asked one of my audience the shape of the ovaries, and he said they are in the shape of an egg, because we always say an ovary or an egg. So of course that's what he said. Well, you tried, but this is the shape of the ovaries. They are small, just like an egg. Rather, they are almond-like organs, dull white in color and with a corrugated surface. So he tried, actually. Kudos. The size of the ovaries. The ovaries are 3 cm long, 2 cm wide, and 1 cm thick, and the ovaries weigh 5 to 8 grams. So within, it could be 6 grams, it could be 7. It should be within the range of 5 to 8 grams. Gross structure, or the microscopic structure of the ovaries. As I said earlier, the ovaries do vary according to a woman's age and the phase of her menstrual cycle, and so the gross structure will throw more light into that. From birth to puberty, the organs are smooth, dull white. Yes, the color is still the same, dull white and rather solid in consistency. So in our menstrual phase, between puberty and the menopause, the organs are larger and are rather irregular on the surface, more like a walnut than an almond. At this stage, you should be making use of your ovaries either to produce babies, because though yes, you are menstruating, you are shedding them, but they are healthy now, so they can produce healthy oocytes, so that we can start the fertilization process. Postmenopausal phase. Here, the ovaries become smaller and shrinking, and they are covered with scar tissue where month after month the Graafian follicles have ruptured At this stage, your ovaries cannot perform anything relating to reproduction. Yes, you are growing old, so your ovaries are as well growing old. Microscopic structure of the ovaries. We have the germinal epithelium, that is another name for peritoneum, which encloses the ovary. We have the tunica albuginea. This one is tough and fibrous outer coat. We also have the cortex. The cortex is the vascular fibrous tissue stroma in which the Graafian follicles are embedded. You are hearing Graafian. I will explain it into details when we get to the life cycle of the premodal follicle. And so these follicles each contain an ovum, and they can be found at varying degrees of development. The corpus luteum is the scar tissue which forms after the follicle has burst, that is, after the Graafian follicle has burst. And so the cortex is actually the working part of the ovary. After the Graafian follicle will burst and the ovary is still functioning, that part that is functioning is the cortex. We have the medulla. The medulla is the central portion and the point of entry for blood vessels, lymphatics, and nerves. So the medulla performs a huge role as far as the ovaries are concerned. So let's move straight into the life cycle of the premodal follicle. When we say premodal, I mean the earliest stage of development. So that point where you have your ovaries, its life cycle. So the premodal follicle, at birth, the cortex of the ovary contains about 200,000 premodal follicles, and each of this contains a premodal sex cell. Some follicles may attempt to mature before puberty, but they are normally unsuccessful and they degenerate. And so as you shed these premodal follicles during menstruation, then their numbers start reducing. Yes, you can't have your 200,000 premodal follicles with you throughout your life journey. That is how come it is advisable to give birth within the ages of 25 thereabouts to 35. Once you are aging, these premodal cells also lose their ability to help you reproduce. Next is the Graafian follicle. Finally, with the onset of puberty, several follicles attempt to mature simultaneously during the first half of the menstrual cycle. To their surprise, only one is more successful than the others. Let me reiterate. Only one is successful than the others. It doesn't end there. Fills with fluid, reaches a diameter of at least 10 millimeters and then rises to the surface of the ovary. And during this process, the first meiotic division takes place and the nucleus of the premodal sex cell and the Graafian follicle ruptures through the surface of the ovary and reaches the follicular fluid and the ovum. So this explains what the Graafian follicle is. From the Graafian follicle is the corpus luteum, and that is the shell left by the ruptured Graafian follicle. It fills with blood clots and then fibrosis commences. With fibrosis, normally it thickens and scarring of the tissue starts. After 10 days, it ceases to increase in size and it begins to form scar tissue. From corpus luteum is the corpus albicans, and that is the name given to the structure as it continues to fibrose. Then finally to corpus fibrosum, and corpus fibrosum is the structure in its final stage of fibrosis. It is the increasing number of scars left by the occurrence of each ovulation that gives the surface of the ovary its postmenopausal scarred appearance. So if you are in your postmenopausal phase, then corpus fibrosum has already taken place. That is how come you aren't able to reproduce. Scarring has already taken place. So the functions of the ovaries. The ovaries performs only two functions. One, to produce oocytes for fertilization, and the next is to produce reproductive hormones. And here I'm talking about estrogen and progesterone. This is all about the ovaries, and this is where we will end our topic on the female reproductive system as far as the external and the internal organs are concerned. I thank you all for your love, for your support, and for learning each day. Continue to be a part of this family, and I promise you at the end, you and I will learn and promote our health as well. I love you all. Until next time that we shall meet, do take care of yourselves. Mwah.